Imagine a world without smartphones, without cities, without even doors, just you, the forest, and the elements. That was everyday life for cavemen. But what did they really do all day? Were they mindless brutes chasing mammoths? Or was their life surprisingly complex? When we think of cavemen, we usually picture grunting hunters roaming icy plains, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. Archaeologists and anthropologists have uncovered evidence showing early humans had routines, hobbies, and even social dramas. Today, we're exploring a day in the life of our ancient ancestors, from sunup to sundown, to see what cavemen actually did all day in ways you probably never imagined. Mornings started with survival, no alarm clocks, no coffee machines, just the rising sun and the smell of fire. Early humans likely woke at dawn, guided by light and instinct. Their first task was checking their surroundings. Predators didn't wait for breakfast, and neither did hunger. Cavemen had to ensure their families and themselves survived the night. Inside caves, sleeping areas were carefully arranged. Bones and hides served practical purposes. Bedding had to be clean, dry, and safe from insects. Hygiene mattered in a very primal way. Evidence shows they selected soft furs for sleeping and often had designated spots in the cave, almost like a prehistoric bedroom. Once awake, it was time to eat, and breakfast was rarely simple. Cavemen were hunter-gatherers, relying on seasonal plants, berries, nuts, roots, and the occasional bird or small mammal. Some groups experimented with roasting tubers over fire, smoking meat, or mixing herbs. Imagine cavemen as the original foodies. Foraging wasn't casual. Every berry and mushroom had to be identified carefully because one mistake could be fatal. Mornings often included hands-on education. Adults taught the young what was safe to eat, how to track animals, and how to read the signs of nature. After breakfast came crafting. Cavemen had to make everything themselves: tools, weapons, and even art. Stone axes, flint knives, and spear tips were carefully crafted, sometimes taking hours or days to perfect. This wasn't just survival, it was status. The better your tools, the more respect you earned within the group. Men and women both contributed to this craft. Some carved intricate designs into bones or stones, not purely functional but decorative. Early humans had an aesthetic sense, an eye for beauty, even if the canvas was mud, bone, or stone. Think of it as the first art class, except your teacher was Mother Nature. As the sun climbed higher, cavemen shifted into the day's most demanding tasks: hunting and gathering. Hunting wasn't simply chasing an animal, it required strategy, patience, and teamwork. Hunters studied footprints, watched the wind, and followed subtle clues left behind by animals. Groups often worked together to trap or corner prey. Larger animals like bison or reindeer required planning that could last for days. Hunters studied migration patterns and natural terrain, using cliffs, rivers, and forests to their advantage. Meanwhile, smaller animals like rabbits or birds provided quicker meals and helped younger hunters practice important skills such as stealth, timing, and tracking. But hunting was never guaranteed to succeed. Even experienced hunters sometimes returned empty-handed, which created pressure and tension within the group. Gathering complemented hunting. Men and women searched forests and plains for edible plants, nuts, berries, and roots. They learned which mushrooms were poisonous and which berries were safe to eat. Some plants were even used for medicinal purposes, showing that early humans had a surprising knowledge of natural remedies. These expeditions strengthened social bonds, sharing food, helping each other carry heavy loads, and teaching younger members created trust and cooperation. Early humans were not solitary creatures. They depended on each other for survival. By midday, survival tasks began to blend with recreation and creativity. Some groups played games, held friendly competitions, or told stories around small fires. Cave walls often served as communal storytelling spaces where elders described hunts, warned about dangers, or celebrated successful kills. Music also existed in simple forms. Bone flutes, rhythmic clapping, and percussion created sounds that entertained and possibly played roles in rituals or ceremonies. Conflicts sometimes occurred within the group. Disagreements over food, sleeping spots, or hunting rights could arise. These disputes were resolved through gestures, vocal communication, or occasionally physical confrontation. However, cooperation remained essential because the survival of the group depended on unity. Midday was also a time for maintaining tools and shelters. Spears were sharpened, stone knives repaired, and hides cleaned or stitched into clothing and bedding. Outside the glow of the fire, danger still existed. Predators prowled the darkness, and humans had to remain alert. Some groups placed sharpened stakes around sleeping areas, while others kept watch rotations throughout the night. Despite the dangers, cavemen also experienced moments of leisure. Children played, adults sang songs, clapped rhythms, or created music with simple instruments. These creative expressions represent some of the earliest forms of human culture and emotion. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, cavemen adapted their lives to the changing seasons. Their routines shifted depending on the availability of food, the movement of animals, and the weather. Spring brought fresh plants and streams filled with fish. Summer allowed longer hunting trips and exploration of new territories. Autumn was a time of preparation. Communities gathered nuts, dried meat, and stored food to survive the coming winter. Winter required resilience. Travel became difficult, so groups relied heavily on preserved food and warm clothing made from animal hides. Sleeping arrangements were carefully organized to conserve warmth, often close to the fire. Rituals began to appear as part of human culture. Births, successful hunts, and seasonal changes were sometimes marked with ceremonies. Rock carvings, burial practices, and patterns in cave art suggest that early humans developed symbolic thinking and spiritual beliefs. Family life played a central role in caveman society. Children learned through observation and play, while adults shared responsibilities for hunting, gathering, and protection. Leadership often emerged naturally based on experience, skill, and wisdom. Hunters who consistently provided food gained respect, while elders guided the group with knowledge and experience. Early medicine also existed. Cavemen used herbal remedies, plant extracts, and simple treatments to care for injuries and illnesses. Knowledge of healing plants was valuable and carefully passed down to younger generations. Leisure and creativity remained important. People carved ornaments, painted cave walls, and crafted jewelry from bones, shells, and stones. Communication skills also developed. Gestures, vocal sounds, and early language allowed people to coordinate hunts, share knowledge, and resolve disputes. Over time, these daily routines built the foundations of human civilization. Looking back, cavemen were not mindless creatures struggling only to survive. They were thinkers, innovators, artists, and storytellers. Their daily routines, waking with the sun, gathering food, crafting tools, teaching the young, and sharing stories, created the foundation for human culture and society. The tools they made, the art they created, and the knowledge they passed down shaped the future of humanity. Cave paintings, carved ornaments, and early musical instruments showed that humans sought beauty, meaning, and connection even in the harshest environments. Their lives were not merely about survival, they were about curiosity, cooperation, and creativity. In many ways, the world we live in today began with those early humans who faced the unknown with courage and imagination. When we ask what cavemen actually did all day, the answer is far richer than simple hunting and gathering. They learned, taught, created, explored, and built communities. Their story is not just the story of survival, it is the story of the beginning of human history, of human